Now, another West African country has joined the ranks of the world's oil producers, and joining us in the studio to talk about this is reporter Paul Ndiho. Paul, tell us more.
Thanks, Ndimyake, for having me. Last year, Ghana became the new West African oil exporter, turning on the taps to new revenues. A new private job training center in Ghana is preparing young people to create a qualified labor pool for the country's newest big industry. In December 2010, the president of Ghana, John Evans Atta Mills, launched the country's first oil delivery, as Ghana joined the ranks of African petroleum producers. However, the country did not have enough skilled people to take on the challenges of this new industry. Today, a training program in Takoradi, Western Ghana, has young people kitted up and ready to learn skills necessary to be part of the country's fastest growing industry.
It's quite hectic, standing in the sun always trying to learn what's going on, but the form as exercise, the form as a training, so we hope to achieve and know more.
Sigma-based Technical Services Limited teaches welding, pipe fitting, electrical engineering and specialized construction to about 3,000 students. Companies like Sigma-based will be integral in attaining the government's goal of 90% local participation in strategic areas of the oil and gas industry by 2020.
Since I have the experience, I decided to start something, engage the youth of Ghana meaningfully, train them, get them ready, so that when the industry opens, they will have something to do. They will not be idle, therefore we won't have any frustrated youth visiting us with mayhem.
Ghana's initial production of 120,000 barrels per year ranks the West African nation as Sub-Saharan Africa's 7th largest oil producer, with output set to double within 3 years.
Ahead, the oil industry, there is a bigger money. The more you work hard, the more you earn. So I hope you earn big, then further my education, and then be able to take care of my family.
The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, forecasts growth at 13% this year, with oil accounting for around half of that. The country's budget shows that it will earn about $400 million from oil this year, although the figure is likely to be higher if the oil prices remain high. Samuel Ayeman, an award-winning journalist visiting from Ghana, says that unlike other oil-producing countries in Africa, Ghana is likely to benefit from its petroleum revenues.
The IMF report actually states that Ghana, relatively compared with other African countries and other oil-producing countries, is likely to really utilize its oil finds. The reason being that we have found this oil at the time the country is very well built in terms of democracy, and then people are much more aware of the problems and the pros and cons of finding a natural resource which is very crucial and important as oil.
Mr. Ayeman observes that it's a good thing for this educational institution like Sigma-based Training Services Limited to be set up in Takoradi.
If you have an educational institution like this coming up, training young folks from this particular region, I am sure that it's going to be a huge relief for these people, because at the end of the day, you're going to have people who are graduating from this school and working in the oil companies, unlike the situation or the perception right now that once these oil companies come in, they're all going to bring the expatriates, they are going to bring the foreigners in, and none of these jobs are going to be handled by our local people. Or maybe if they are going to have any job at all, it's going to be just cleaning in some of these offices. But here we are, if people are being trained to take up very responsible roles in these oil companies, I'm sure that this is a very welcoming news.
Analysts say if the oil money is used properly, the resources could be a game changer for Ghana, helping to transform its aid-reliant economy to one on a par with nations such as Egypt or Iran. Paul Ndiho, VOA News.
That's a very good, interesting story, what's going on in Ghana, Paul. So what about the status of this bill that is meant to regulate the oil industry?
Yeah, that's right, Ndimyake. There is a pending bill that is likely to go on the floor of the Parliament early July, which is next month. The bill is supposed really to be like a step to regulate how this oil industry is going to work. Because when they initially found oil, they did not have a regulator or a government regulator. So they're trying to come up with laws, and what is holding the bill right now to be debated on the floor of Parliament is trying to figure out what is the kind of language they want to use in this bill, or what are some of the things they want incorporated in the bill. For instance, like making sure that 90% of the local population within the area of Takoradi gains from this oil industry. So those are some of the things they're working on the bill, but it's likely to go on the floor of Parliament next month. And
I imagine now a lot of people are flocking to Takoradi because of the opportunities that are there now.
Absolutely. There's so much going on. There's infrastructure development. You're talking about roads being built, hospitals, schools. There's rent. The land has been quadrupled. Like the price of land has quadrupled in the last 6 months. Real estate agents or developers are coming into Takoradi. And the other interesting thing is that people from all over the neighboring countries, especially women, have found a new business in Takoradi.
Okay, well, we hope that's the kind of business that won't strive too long or too much. But thank you very much, Paul Ndiho, for bringing us that story on the oil industry in Ghana.
A pleasure talking to you, Ndimyake.
Yes, likewise.